everybody watching this video. I'm Ara Bentley and this is my YouTube channel where I talk about crafts and miniatures and mixed media, whatever I'm doing that week. I usually do these videos, when I'm put together and have done my hair and makeup, and I just didn't have time for that this week. This week has been crazy, but I did finish a miniature that I really love, and it was custom order from the person who I made the last miniature for, the dresser that I did the video for. So I videoed this making of this dresser too, so that you could see that, and then I also tried to video carefully my aging techniques because I kind of glossed over that in the last one. So if you missed that and you really wish I had done more of that, it's in this one. So I'll kind of gloss over some of the other stuff I explained in the other video, and this video you will get to see the distressing techniques, I hope. So here's the miniature. I'm going to show it to you. It is a vanity, and the customer asked for these beautiful little French paintings to be inlaid. Fix my light here. And then it has this false mirror in the middle to look like one of those mirrors that's kind of falling apart and can't use anymore. I'm going to see if I can show you some of the detail because my light is very bright. This is the first time I've done handles like this. My customer likes to put little pieces on it. I thought maybe she could hang like a necklace off of that or something. So I didn't want to do a flush handle. I wanted to do something that stuck out. It was a little bit more realistic. This is another piece that I did with a Cameo file, and I wrote it, or I drew it and programmed it specifically for this piece of furniture. So I will be making more of these for my store. Not exactly like this because this was for my customer, but I will be making some more with this shape. They'll be different colors, and I'll probably put mirrors in the sides. So if you're interested in that, I'll put my Etsy link somewhere in this video, and enjoy the video of me making this vanity. It was really fun. Thanks. So this project, I'm using my Silhouette Cameo again, and I'm not going to go into details like I did on my last video, but I will put the link to the last video in the comments. So if you wanted to check that out with a little bit more description of everything that I'm doing, you're more than welcome to. But I will tell you just how much I enjoy this machine. It's so great to know that I can program in my design and know that every single time it will make a perfect line for me or a perfect cut, and I don't have to have that stress of, did I get, you know, the perfect 16th measurement? Is it perfect? Is it not? Is it going to throw off my whole design? So I really love this Cameo machine and how much it helps me get even further with the design of my miniature furniture. And it may look like a lot of work to cut the pieces out after the Cameo draws them, but really it isn't. I'm going slow because I want to make sure that I cut exactly on the line, but as long as the lines are straight, it's not that difficult. When they get curved, it's a little bit more frustrating, but it's not that bad at all. And it may look like it takes a lot of time because it's sped up, but really it takes maybe 10 minutes of cutting for me to cut all those pieces. And here you can see my original drawing. Every time I do a piece of furniture and program it into my Cameo, I do a drawing first. I look at my inspiration piece, my real life size piece of furniture that I want to emulate, and I draw it out with miniature measurements so that I know exactly what I want to program in. I make sure I show all the details of the construction lines so that I know for sure when I'm putting these pieces into my computer that it's all going to come together and fit together when I end up putting the actual physical piece together. And so here you can see me starting to put the vanity, all the pieces in place, and I'm just going slow to make sure that everything fits. Because it's the first time I've done this vanity, there's always, you know, there's always that human error of, did I put the right measurements into the computer? So I just check and make sure everything fits how it's supposed to. Sanding is also critical. It's a really good idea to sand all your pieces as you put them on, and it gets more difficult as especially complicated shaped furniture goes together. It's so much easier to sand before you stick things together. This was a really fun custom piece that I got to do. My customer, she told me her description was that she wanted a piece of furniture that seemed to belong to a 18th century French queen. And so it was really fun to go off of that idea, make the piece really aged. She also wanted, as you'll see in the future of this video, the French ladies, she wanted those in the sides instead of mirrors. And I thought that was just a really fun idea. She's a really creative customer and I like working with her. This is me just putting the drawer front details on, and I just use 2 layers of cardstock, and this just gives a little bit of detail to the drawers. Something that might look curved, but when you paint over it, you can't tell that they're 2 separate pieces. This is gray paint, and you just put the gray paint down first for like an old mirror look. I do some dark spots and then put silver paint, and then I press down a piece of plexiglass or transparency over it and just kind of squish it all around, and it makes it look like a old mirror that's, you know, the silver paint has started cracking off the back of it. You know, those old mirrors you just really can't look in anymore. So I've never tried, well actually that's not true. I have tried using a real mirror. They make things really heavy and it's really chunky. It's hard to get it into place. But since most of my items are vintage, I don't mind using the vintage looking mirror. And it actually helps miniaturists take pictures, because it's kind of frustrating when you're trying to take a picture of your work and there's you with a giant camera in the mirror. So I like using the old vintage crackled mirrors. This is the start of the very fancy, complicated legs, and it's just me rolling paper into different designs onto Q-tip sticks, and then I take wood filler, and in a minute you'll see me with it on my fingers, and I just kind of rub it into all the cracks, and this kind of helps fill in so that it doesn't have ridges like rolled paper. There it is, and it just helps smooth it out, and then I just let it dry and then sand it a little bit. And it's not perfect, it's not a perfect way to do it, but it does help with the look, especially if you're doing an older piece. It still looks good. I actually use wood filler over most of the piece, especially in places where maybe I didn't cut so straight, but it just helps fill in gaps and makes the piece look like one actual wood piece of furniture that would have been built all together. I totally forgot to put the cardstock pieces on the edge, and so I started painting and realized I did not put the details on the edge of the piece, so I had to go back and glue those on before I could finish painting. I always think it's fun to watch people paint in fast forward mode. It's kind of calming. So now you can see me putting on the little French painted ladies, and I did Mod Podge over the top of them first to protect them, and I let that dry, and then I glued them onto the piece. And I did this in this order because if I glued them on first and then Mod Podged them, I'm running a chance of the paper bubbling up, and I wanted them to lay flat. That's the easiest way for me to do it. So now comes the really fun aging part. I use folk art crackle to paint over the entire piece of furniture. Anywhere I want the paint crackled, I use this crackle medium. You have to first put the color you want to show through down, so that would be the dark brown, and then you do the crackle medium, and then you do the final coat color paint on top of that after it dries. So I'm just carefully putting the crackle medium on. So, and it really, the thickness of your crackle medium determines the cracks in your paint. So if you want small cracks, you use a thin layer. If you want really thick cracks, then you use a thick layer of paint. Or if you want really big cracks, you use a thick layer of paint. And as you can see in my hand, I'm using, it kind of looks like a dental pick. I'm not sure what it is. I don't think it's a dental tool. I got it from Harbor Freight, and it came in a pack of different tools, and it's got like a hook on it, and I used the back of it to just kind of scratch the paint up, and then I used the point to get into really thin areas like around the drawers or in the back part of the dresser. And you have to mess with the paint while it's still wet. The crackle medium will dry your paint out really fast, and that's doing that so that the paint will crack. So you can't just paint the whole thing and then go back, because your crackle layer will have dried. So you need to paint a section and then mess with the paint. And you just kind of have to do it over and over again to get a feel of how you like messing with the crackle paint. Like, I like to get the edges anywhere where the furniture would have been worn or touched over and over again. And then I like to just kind of mess with like different areas to make it so you can see the brown through the paint a little bit better. And then now I'm protecting my paintings and my mirror. These are pieces that came out from the cuttings from the Silhouette Cameo, and so I just like to keep those, and then I can just easily stick them back into the mirror sections to protect what I've already done. And then I just go ahead and, while it's still wet, mess with the paint on those areas. One thing that I do suggest is making sure the places you've already painted are dry. Sometimes I get into a hurry and I just want to do the whole thing like while I'm sitting there, but then I ended up messing up a piece with my finger because I just was not patient and let it dry. So I really suggest practicing that patience and letting it dry first, so that you're not messing up something you worked really hard to make look old and cool. You don't want a big giant thumbprint in the middle of your paint job. So now I've created a light, well, it's dark brown, but I've mixed it with quite a bit of water. So a dark brown wash, and I'm putting it over different parts of the paint. I've put some on the mirror, just different parts of the furniture that would have collected dust or dirt or grime. And I'm putting it on with a paintbrush, but then in several places I'm just rubbing it with my finger to kind of give it more of a natural look, because you don't want to see brush marks. You want it to look like the dirt has settled onto the furniture. And then I'm now going back with a black wash to kind of get into the corners and the edges of the furniture. That's where grime would have like built up over years, and even just like people trying to clean the furniture wouldn't have been able to get to that grime, and it would just built up and built up. So now I'm putting in the drawer pulls, and I'm using pins for those. And so you can see me stick the pins in, and I use a lot of glue, try and keep those pins in place. And then my Cameo cut out these little circles for me, and I'm putting them on top of the pin heads to act as the drawer pulls. And then I just spray it with a matte coat finish, and that's it. That's the completed dresser. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below and I will do my best to help. Thanks again.